Hello, and welcome to Trek Quickie. Today we're going to be talking about the next set of ships that you're going to get. So let's get right into it and start looking at these ships. We are going to talk about faction ships today, because pretty much all of the ships 26 up are faction ships. Pretty much. The D3, the Mayflower, and the Legionary are your Tier 1 faction ships. Now, whether you get a Tier 1 faction ship or not is completely up to you. The difference in level between the Tier 1s and the Tier 2s make it really easy to skip Tier 1 for now, if you want. But your choice of faction ship here should have determined your choice on whether you maxed out your Vaklis or your Kumari, because I do not recommend maxing out your Kira. Whichever faction you have, if you choose to go D3, it's probably the best for PvP for Tier 1 faction ships. The Mayflower is best for hostile hunting, and the Legionary is a good in-between between the two. Not a whole lot to be said here. So, moving on, don't buy these separatist or hijacked ships. They are a relic from a foregone era. They were the original ship skins in the game, and they cost all of the same resources as the other Tier 1 ships, but you also have to add in the cost of rare and uncommon plutonium. So you're going to be paying even more to tier these up than you would the original faction ships, and there's absolutely zero benefit to these other than they look cool. So if it were me personally, I would say absolutely, unequivocally, do not get the hijacked or separatist ships. They are absolute garbage. The Stella you will get from research in the Outlaw research chain. You will get your first one for free, but we will talk more about that in our scrapping video, which will be coming out tomorrow most likely. So we move on up to the Tier 2 faction ships, the Bortus, the Saladin, the Centurion. The only one really worth it is the Saladin. I have a Centurion, I love it, and it's awesome, and on a different server I had a Bortus, and it was awesome, and I loved it, but they are both garbage compared to the Saladin. So, if you are going Klingon primarily, or Romulan primarily, I would skip these ships, and I would wait for either the 32 or 34 ships, because the Saladin is the one that is going to be your primary game changer in the Tier 2 faction ships. Which brings us to the Sarcophagus. Don't get the Sarcophagus. It's a garbage piece of garbage and should be hauled away as garbage. Its only redeeming quality is that it gets bonuses for territory defense when you are either attacking a node or are on a territory takeover node. It is completely worthless other than that. It takes unique resources, and it's not worth it. We're coming to the faction miners. The faction miners are great in the aspect that you get a massive cargo hold. 2 to 3 times the cargo hold of a Horizon. But the problem here is that you can build 2 or 3 Horizons for the cost of one of these. Like, build and max tier 2 or 3 Horizons for the cost of one of the faction miners. So unless you get a faction miner for free and you're just gonna tier it up every once in a while, I wouldn't recommend getting the faction miners. It's not worth it for a while. Brings us to the Amalgam. The Amalgam is a new game-changing, some say it is a game-breaking ship, which allows you to raid ships through warp raiding again, which means you don't have to relocate your base, because the Amalgam will take a percentage of the total cargo of whatever base you're raiding, instead of taking its max cargo value, which makes it extremely beneficial for big raids. You also get the refinery for the Amalgam when you unlock it, which gives you the ability to refine plunder into parts, and the parts will come over here to the officer tab. The parts you can exchange for this box. You get chances at honor guard wharf shards, and also a couple extra comps that are really cool. And then the big thing, the ship skin trackers. And those ship skin trackers can be used, if we can get out of this menu, can be used in the Amalgam refinery to get refits. And some of these refits give damage bonuses or crit bonuses for your ships. So this is the first time we've been able to reliably source these things in game, outside of events, etc. So the Amalgam is quite the game changer. It pretty much makes territory irrelevant now, because one of the primary benefits to territory before was that you could throw your base in there and be relatively safe, because not a whole lot of people want to warp raid, and you can't relocate to somebody else's territory. So, but now with the Amalgam, warp raiding is a thing again. So, you know, some people say it evens out the game, some people says it breaks the game. I'll let you be the decider for your server. Why don't you let me know and tell me how you feel about it. This brings us to the 32 faction ships, the Burrell, the Intrepid, and the Gladius. Honestly, skip them, because 34 is only 2 levels away, and 2 levels is not that far. It's really far, resource-wise, but it is not time-wise very far. The only ship, in my opinion, from the 32 faction ships to get is the Gladius. The Intrepid is horrible, and the Burrell is passable. It's okay, but it's not really worth it when you can get your, if you're going Klingon, you can get your D4 in 2 more levels. So unless you get one of these for free, don't bother building them. The Gladius, like I said, is a good ship, but the other 2 are not. Which brings us to 34, you know, where everybody wants to be. They want to get their Enterprise. Enterprise is great, Augur is great, D4 is great. They're all great. Don't know what else to say. But your decision on what you want here will affect the rest of your game, like we talked about in the planning video. So if you choose that you want to have the Enterprise, then you want to make sure that you are not having an Explorer right before your Enterprise. So if you're getting an Enterprise at 34, don't get a Burrell at 32, and don't get a Centurion at tier 2, because you will be eating yourself to death on G3 uncommon gas. After that, we come to the Franklin A, which is an upgraded, better version of the Franklin. Much better version of the Franklin, because we all know the Franklin is garbage. Which brings us to the ISS Jelly, which you can get free to play, or you can spend a whole lot of money and get it not free to play. But once you get past 39, which my server is locked to 39 at the moment, server cap and all that. But once you get past 39, the Jellyfish, it's a good ship and it will last you a while. There are better ships coming. And that's more or less all of the ships up until 39. just a brief overview. If you guys want more in-depth views at ships and what their particular strengths are and their weaknesses are, feel free to let me know in the comments below. So thanks for coming to Trek Quickie today, and if you liked this video, please click like, maybe consider subscribing, and we will see you out there.